Our story begins under a beautiful sky. A monk asks someone if he wants to know about Waiyanho. We are introduced to the living Buddha, Master Musan. A frail scholar replies that he does. He's collecting material to record Waiyanho's history. With a forced smile, the monk says Waiyanho, known as the radiant martial sovereign, was benevolent and upright, surely sent by the Buddha himself. The scholar eagerly notes this down and asks what Waiyanho was like in daily life. The monk grows uneasy, unable to maintain his calm. Finally, he bursts out cursing Waiyanho, saying he can't go on. Shocked to hear a monk curse, the scholar nearly faints. The scene shifts to the Peng clan of Hubei, where the scholar is kicked out. The elder, furious, demands to know why such a pathetic man would dare inquire about Waiyanho. He orders a whole bag of salt to be scattered where the scholar stands. The scholar is shaken, surprised that everyone reacts the same way to Yanho's name. We then hear the official account of Waiyanho, the radiant martial sovereign, a legendary figure who ended the age of chaos, a gentleman, a hero, and a chivalrous warrior celebrated across the world. Some call him the greatest of all time, others the ultimate warrior. The scholar travels on, using his Qigong technique, wondering why everyone avoids speaking about Waiyanho. As a historian, he feels duty-bound to uncover even the hidden truths of the past. He confirms that from Shaolin to the Peng clan, the responses are identical. The moment he speaks Yanho's name, people recoil. Before he can finish, the mad dog cuts him off, declaring it's only natural they know what kind of man Waiyanho truly was. From his perspective, Waiyanho was the worst of men. We are shown young Waiyanho at 12 years old, half asleep, mumbling about becoming the strongest. Born into a martial clan, he was raised in the warrior's code of chivalry. He already knew the fastest path to the top, relentless effort. But for such a boy, there was one small problem. He always put things off. We see young Yanho staring at the sunset, then lying back under his blanket, muttering that it's a shame. Today was supposed to be the day he began building his foundation. He consoles himself by saying he'll train tomorrow. Suddenly footsteps approach. A man enters his room, calling Yanho to get up, then shouts at him again until he rises. This is Yai Zhonghan, patriarch of Guangdong's Yai clan, a righteous swordsman and Yanho's father. He demands to know what time it is. Yanho says he saw the sun. His father retorts that despite seeing the sun, he's still in bed. Yanho cheekily answers that the sun is setting. His father asks how long he has locked himself in his room. Yanho guesses 2, maybe 3 days, then settles on 2. Furious, his father calls him a useless brat. It has been 4 days. Yanho had been rolling around, bundled in his blanket, for 4 whole days. His father glared at him and asked if his back didn't hurt from lying there so long. Even a bear would flip over from the sweat after 3 days, he snapped. With a nervous laugh, Yanho replied, "That's why I get up every now and then." Hearing this excuse, his father clenched his teeth in anger. Yanho added, "Actually, I tried to train today, but every time I opened my eyes, the sun was already setting. And if the sun is setting, you have to sleep so you can wake up early tomorrow for training." Exploding with rage, his father shouted, calling him a useless brat, then flipped the entire bed over. He roared that he would finally fix Yanho's rotten attitude today. That day, in the great Wai household of Guangdong, the sun was already going down. The scene shifts to the Guangdong Wai clan's office, where the patriarch sits clearly troubled. He mutters that this year may be his last. The clan administrator, Zhou Bang, approaches and asks if his worries are once again about the second young master. The patriarch sighs. Who else could it be? Zhou Bang reassures him, saying Yanho will surely grow out of it in time. The patriarch shakes his head. It's all my fault, he admits. We then learn about Wai Zhonghan, patriarch of the great Guangdong Wai clan. He had married Han Sang-a of the Wai clan. Together, they had 3 children, the unborn Wai Suryan, their eldest Wai Sanho, and their second son, Wai Yanho. Back then, Zhonghan believed his journey away from home would last no more than 2 years. Yet fate dragged him into countless incidents, and only after 8 long years did he finally return. In that time, he earned the title of righteous chivalrous swordsman. What he lost was far too great. When he finally came home, his once gentle wife had grown as fierce as a tiger, and the son he thought would never be a problem had become nothing more than a lazy sloth. We see Zhonghan sigh deeply. Zhou Bang tries to comfort him again. Do not worry, patriarch, there must still be a way. And what way is that? With a knowing look, Zhou Bang replies, "Has the patriarch forgotten? He will be returning soon." The patriarch pauses, then realizes who the administrator is speaking of. Zhou Bang explains that after 3 years, someone will be returning from the academy. The patriarch smirks slyly. There is one person Wei Yanho actually fears. We see someone step up behind Yanho. He suddenly shivers, wondering why he's getting chills. Turning, he sees his older brother. We are introduced to the eldest son of Guangdong's Wei clan, Wei Sanho. Sanho calmly asks Yanho how long he's been asleep. Nervously scratching his head, Yanho tries to dodge the question, asking when Sanho got back. But Sanho insists he answer first. Yanho stammers, avoiding his brother's sharp gaze. Flustered, he blurts out that it's not what Sanho thinks. He trained hard early this morning, really hard, but only took a nap because he was tired. Sanho cuts him off with a stern shout, saying he'll take responsibility and demanding Yanho show him what he's got. Yanho hesitates, then draws his sword. With determination, he charges forward and attempts to demonstrate the soaring dragon technique. But when he slashes at a candle, nothing happens. Yanho freezes, realizing he messed up. Disappointed, Sanho declares that 3 years is more than enough to master a sword technique and move on. Yet Yanho has only grown worse. The scene shifts to the Wei family's dinner hall. They sit down to eat. Yanho thinks to himself he's going to get indigestion. He's sure of it. The patriarch asks Sanho how life was at the martial academy, whether he faced any difficulties. Sanho replies that training without hardship isn't training at all. His father acknowledges his struggles and says he has endured much. Sanho humbly replies that it was his father who bore the greater burden, being away from the family for so long. The patriarch nods, then asks if there are any other matters. Sanho answers yes. 1. The matriarch leans forward, asking what it is. Sanho's gaze shifts to his younger brother. He says it's about Yanho. Everyone looks up in surprise. Sanho suggests that Yanho must be brought to the martial academy. The scene cuts to Mad Dog's narration. He says that even Master Musan and Peng Dojuk grind their teeth at the mere mention of Wei Yanho's name, and that was when history truly began. Back then, no one could have imagined that this lazy boy would one day shake the world. Just like that, Yanho was half forced into the martial academy. His family watched with mixed emotions. His little sister, Wei Surian, clung to him in tears, begging him not to go. Their father, laughing, told him to return as a man. Yanho comforted his sister, telling her not to cry. He'd be back. From Mad Dog's perspective, the journey of Wei Sanho and Wei Yanho was smooth. Well, at least for Sanho. Yanho, on the other hand, constantly complained. At one point, he asked his brother if they were almost there. Sanho replied flatly, "There are still 10 more days." Sanho was just answering Yanho's question when Yanho suggested they rest. He asked if Sanho realized how steep the hill was. Exhausted, Yanho groaned that his back and butt felt like they were about to burst. Spotting a group of people lying under a dead tree, he pointed and told Sanho they should rest there too. But when Sanho looked closer, his expression changed. Dismounting from his horse, he approached the bodies. Yanho, confused, asked what he was doing. After checking them, Sanho said grimly that they were too late. Everyone lying there was already dead. Shocked, Yanho froze. Sanho then revealed something on one of the corpses, explaining that this was the flower-indulging palm, once called the crimson flower palm. But because of a criminal named Seoji Ki, a rapist who used this technique while committing atrocities, it had become infamous as the flower-indulging palm. Horrified, Yanho asked if that meant the rapist was nearby. Sanho explained that Seoji Ki targeted women traveling through the mountains. These dead men must have been ambushed while trying to protect a woman, which meant somewhere nearby, a woman was still in danger. Sanho ordered Yanho to stay behind with the corpses, then rushed off, saying he would return soon. Left alone, Yanho grew increasingly frustrated. He looked at the horses, then at the lifeless bodies, muttering that he was doomed. Dark clouds rolled in, and the sky turned as if rain could fall any moment. Yanho shouted into the distance, calling his brother a liar and demanding to know why he was taking so long. He thought Sanho should have just taken him along. Otherwise, he would never be this late. Uneasy, Yanho realized he had to do something or risk becoming a tiger's dinner if he stayed put. Suddenly, thunder cracked overhead, followed by rain. Yanho and the horses stood in the storm, soaked, as he muttered that he was really in trouble. Trying to take action, he attempted to hoist the bodies onto the horses' backs, but it was no use. He reasoned he couldn't leave them to be eaten by tigers, yet he couldn't bury them either. It was raining too hard, and he needed shelter. The horses suddenly became restless, refusing to listen. Another flash of lightning and a loud crack of thunder spooked them. One of the horses lashed out with its hooves, striking Yanho and sending him tumbling down the hill. He hit the ground hard and groaned in pain, cursing the horses as he clutched his back. Forcing himself up, he noticed a cave nearby. Relieved, he stumbled inside, glad to have found shelter from the storm. Moments later, the horses also wandered into the cave. Yanho tied them down, muttering that he couldn't even bring himself to hit them. Looking at his mud-soaked clothes, he sighed bitterly. What a mess. This, he thought, was exactly why he preferred staying at home. Yunho leaves a mark outside the cave so Sanho can find him. With nothing else to do, he lies down, telling himself his brother is strong and will be fine. Soon, Yunho falls into a deep sleep. Some time passes. Suddenly, a faint blue light begins to gather around Yunho. The glow slowly wraps around his body, lifting him gently into the air. Still sleeping, Yunho is carried deeper into the cave, or so it seems. The light slips him through what looks like an invisible barrier. Yunho wakes up, startled. He looks around and mutters, "Where am I?" The place resembles the cave, but the structure feels different, strange. Did I roll deeper while I was sleeping? Then a voice echoes, "Faded human." Yunho freezes. His eyes dart around. A voice? He panics, stumbles back against the wall, and screams. A glowing blue spear of light flickers before him. Trembling, he blurts out, Is the voice coming from that glowing thing?" "Yes," the voice answers. "I have transcended the limits of flesh. I speak to you from beyond time and space. Accept my will and rule this world." Yunho shrieks again. "It's a ghost." "Do not be afraid," the voice replies calmly. "I am already dead. Only my will remains here. I left this legacy for the one destined to find it." At that, Yunho suddenly smirks. "Wait, a cave with no one around, the lingering will of an old master. This feels familiar. Could this be fate?" His eyes sparkle greedily. "The heavens must be rewarding me for my kindness. If I become strong here, I'll never need to go to that martial training hall." The voice continues. "I will teach you my radiant sword, train tirelessly. If you devote 30 years, you may be able to replicate even a fraction of my art. Since you bear the old bloodline, you should have the talent needed." Yunho blinks. 30 years? He waves his hands furiously. "No thanks, old man. Find someone else. I'm not wasting 3 decades in a hole." Back to Mad Dog's narration. And that, my friends, was the fateful encounter that should have made the loser Yunho into a legend. But Yunho interrupts fate itself. He shouts at the voice, "This isn't destiny, this is a scam," and turns to run. The light trembles. Wait. Suddenly the glow reshapes itself into the form of an old man. Yunho stops, points, and declares triumphantly, "Ha! I knew it! You're a scammer pretending to be a ghost." The old man frowns. "How dare you? I am a spirit, my body long gone." Yunho scowls, not buying a word. He swings a fist straight through the old man, and promptly trips when his hand passes through. He screams in terror. "You really are a ghost." The old man's face darkens. "This is spirit transmission arts, something only the most advanced martial artists can achieve." "I am not a ghost." But Yunho just shrieks louder. "Nope. They call that a ghost." The old man finally snaps, roaring in frustration while Mad Dog's narration cuts back in, underscoring the absurdity of Yunho's fateful chance. Mad Dog smirked and said, "And that's how Yunho met his master." The young scholar leaned forward, curious. "Wait, does something like spirit transmission arts actually exist?" Mad Dog nodded. "It's a technique only martial artists at the absolute peak can attain." The scholar pressed further. "Then, who's one martial artist who could use it?" Mad Dog chuckled. "You know the Sword Emperor, right?" The scholar scoffed. "Of course, he's the strongest man in history, the greatest of the Thousand Swords Beck clan, a master who will forever be remembered in martial arts." "Exactly," Mad Dog said. "Beck Muhan, the Radiant Sword, the man who later became known as the Sword Emperor, was once the disciple of the Radiant Martial Sovereign, the very same old man Yunho stumbled upon." The scholar's eyes widened. Wait, the Sword Emperor lived over 300 years ago. Mad Dog leaned back. That's right. He belongs to a generation long forgotten. Back inside the cave, Yanho, already fed up. Listen, old man, I can't learn from you, so I'm leaving. The spirit narrowed his eyes. Did you really think I'd let you go so easily? With a wave of his hand, the cave entrance rumbled and sealed shut, a massive stone slab crashing into place. Yanho scowled. Seriously? The old man laughed smugly. What do you think? That door is solid stone, thicker than 10 men. With your pitiful strength, you'll never break it. But Yano just pulled out a dagger and started scraping at the wall. The old man blinked. What are you doing? Can't you see? Yano said without looking up. I'm digging a hole. What? Stone is stone. If I grind at it with metal long enough, it'll break down. Give me a year or two, I'll dig my way out. The old man stared in disbelief. You'd actually do that for 2 years? Yanho snorted. Hilarious, coming from someone who wanted me to train for 30 years. A year or two sounds like nothing compared to that. The old man's face twisted. This brat, he's insane, and I can't even kill him. Grinding his teeth, he forced a smile. Fine, just try learning from me. I promise, I won't disappoint you. I don't like you, old man. Humph. Then how about this? I'll allow you to leave after 20 years of training. Yanho groaned and turned over. Still too long. I might consider it if you said 3 years. The old man's hands shook in rage. This bastard, this rotten bastard. I had never even heard of a spirit as vivid and lifelike as the old man. Yonho, with a sly grin, thought maybe the technique wasn't something that could just be passed on with words. Maybe the old man was telling half the truth. If so, then perhaps he really had been the strongest master in the world. Yonho decided to use this chance to become a martial master himself. Finally, Yonho sighed and said, Fine, I'll give it a try. Back to Mad Dog. He explained that of course Yonho had no idea the old man was the Sword Emperor. It was truly unfortunate. The legendary master, at the end of his life, just happened to meet a lazy sloth. The old man roared, You bastard! Wake up! Yonho yawned. I'm tired. Don't you ever sleep? Oh wait, that's right. You're dead. But I'm not. Humans need to sleep, you know. And so Yano spent his days sleeping until evening and practicing each move once, maybe twice. The furious Sword Emperor bellowed, At this rate it'll take 50 years, not 5. Yonho groaned. Isn't there an easier way? It's already as easy as it gets, the old man snapped. Yonho muttered, If only he'd stop talking, at least he'd be less annoying. Baekmahan's spirit shook with rage, so close to a chi deviation. If only he still had a body, he would beat Yonho black and blue before teaching him. But there Yonho was, rolling lazily across the cave floor. Then Yonho suddenly asked, Hey, how'd you drop that giant stone gate earlier? Can't you use that power to move my body and teach me martial arts directly? The old man frowned. That? I only triggered a device I'd set up beforehand. But you don't have a body, Yonho argued. Doesn't matter. I pulled the string with psychic levitation, using chi alone. The Sword Emperor suddenly froze, then burst out laughing. Yonho tilted his head. What's wrong with you now? Finally gone crazy? No, the old man cackled. For 300 years I've been bound by this spirit, always thinking of what I couldn't do without a body. But thanks to you I realized I can still move things. Rocks, walls, whatever I wish. Yonho's face went pale. He stumbled back in terror as the old man's laughter echoed through the cave. And if I can move rocks? The old man smirked and said he could do something like this. Rocks lifted into the air with his chi. Stop! Wait, let's talk! Yonho shouted, but Baekmahan hurled the rocks straight at him. From that day on, their training continued without pause. Yonho spent his days drilling swordsmanship, and at night they argued and debated martial theory. Whenever Yonho slept, he practiced the unparalleled dream mythic arts the old man passed down. The sword became his life. And just like that, 5 years vanished in a flash. When he finally returned, the world itself would tremble. But one day before his departure, as Yonho dozed off, the old man called to him. Still groggy, Yonho muttered, I wanted to sleep a bit longer, before noticing something strange in the old man's expression. Sit cross-legged. Come here, Baekmahan said. Puzzled, Yonho obeyed. What's going on? The old man's voice was softer than usual. I spent my whole life chasing martial arts. I thought if I reached the end of the path, I would gain everything. So I abandoned everything else, my children, my family, my clan. In the end, I became a bitter old man no one cared to find. But I was wrong. Martial arts is a human pursuit, and without walking alongside others, the path is meaningless. It was you, Yanho, who made me realize that. Yanho frowned. Master, why are you talking like this? It sounds like we won't see each other again. The old man nodded. It's time. Panic filled Yanho. What are you saying? You think I'll fall for this? Baekmuhan smiled faintly. I've endured centuries without food or sleep, but that's not something even I can sustain forever. My power has reached its limit. It's time to say goodbye. Yanho clenched his fists. Then why didn't you tell me earlier? I could have gone out, found food, come back, and we could have kept training. The old man chuckled. No, if you had left this cave, I doubt you would have ever returned. The old man sighed softly. I understand how you feel, Yanho. Rising to his feet, he added, but I truly enjoyed the time we shared. I wanted to walk the world with you, to see its sights by your side, but this is fine too. He looked at Yanho with rare fondness. In his dimming eyes, it was as if he could already see Yanho crisscrossing the world. Go, the old man said. See the world, and keep those sights within you. If you do, everything else will follow. But remember, see people before you see the world. I spent my life looking far ahead and never saw what was right at my feet. Don't make the same mistake. His gaze grew distant. Even if I can't see you again, even if you're never great or outstanding, that's fine too. Master, Yanho's voice cracked. You can't leave yet. I still have so much to learn. Just stay a little longer, even a single day. The old man smiled faintly. His final words echoed, Be happy, Yanho. Tears streamed down Yanho's face. You old fool, you could have said something earlier. Back to the present, Yanho sat irritated, clutching a folded cloth. So that's why the old man left without warning. He shook it angrily. When did he even prepare all this? He should have just left peacefully instead of pulling this crap. What the hell is this? On the cloth was a message left by Baekmuhan. In short, the martial arts Yanho had crammed into 5 short years were still incomplete. Since Yanho would slack off once his master disappeared, the old man embedded a safeguard. The inner elixir Yanho had swallowed would push his martial arts forward. But it wasn't a free gift. It was bound to Yanho's spirit. If his training ever lagged behind the growth of the elixir, his own inner energy would collapse, and Yanho would die. Scowling, Yanho muttered, That damned old man. Always scheming something. Another line on the cloth read, Travel the world, see different things. The message ended with a lesson. When you see the world, you will feel. When you feel things, you will learn things. Don't be satisfied with becoming a small person, staying in a small place, see big things, and become a big person. So first go to ruling, find the world's greatest scholar and stay with him. Yanho is dumbfounded. While stretching, he says that he was going to go home, so don't worry too much, mother and father. While looking towards the cave, says that he have to do what he must. Then he bows in respect to his master. Standing up, he says that he won't be back and leaves. While we see him walking away, asking, Where's Rulin anyway? We see a presence forming in front of the cave. Master Baek is laughing very loudly, saying, If Yanho failed to keep up with his training, his body would wither away like a dried-up mummy, and he would die. What kind of martial arts works like that? But Baekmuhan couldn't allow him to waste away in some forgotten corner of the world. The world was too vast, too important, to let Yanho rot in obscurity. With a satisfied smile, Baekmuhan had declared it would be a waste of Yanho's talent otherwise.